So I just wanted to obviously check in. It's been a while, but I wanted to go live because of a couple of things. Obviously, everyone knows that Tyson Fury pulled. Oh, can I hear I can hear myself. All right. So Tyson Fury pulled out of the Alexander Usyk fight was on Friday, and apparently they got it rescheduled. I don't know what to make of this because apparently he got cut and they saying he needs at least 90 days because of the cut to get back into sparring. I personally don't know what to make of this. I thought once he pulled out, I thought this fight's either going to get cancelled or Fury doesn't want the fight. I still think he's either trying to delay the fight, if not duck is the right word, but he definitely, it seems like, has been trying to delay this fight. Even if you take it at face value, this fight now has gone from, was it December to February to May? It seems like Fury has been trying to delay this fight for months and months. Some people would argue he's tried to duck in this fight for 2 years. I would say at least over 1 year. Fury has clearly tried to if not age Usyk out, to try to delay it, try to go down a different route, try to put numerous roadblocks in the way, and it seems like now Fury's trying to, if not play mind games with Usyk or offset him. He's kind of delaying this fight. If that cut is genuine, then it is genuine. It is what it is. Like, these stuff do happen, but the reason why so many people are asking questions is because of Fury's track record and what he's done in the past. He pulled out of the Vladimir Klitschko fight when they were meant to fight in 2016. He didn't ever honor that rematch. He failed a drug test after the initial fight, and then in the rematch, I think he failed the drug test. Sorry, in the year that he won the fight against Klitschko. I think it was prior to the Christian Hammer fight, and then the results, I think, or whatever, there was a result coming out from, I think it was UCAD. It was a UCAD test he failed. It was after the Klitschko fight. It came out after the Klitschko fight that he had failed for the Christian Hammer fight, and then before the rematch, he tested positive apparently for, I believe it was cocaine. He then got stripped of the belts. The whole fiasco, whatever. To me, it seemed like he was trying to see a way out. He delayed that rematch as well. First, I think he pulled out of a scheduled fight in June 2016. Then it was meant to be in July, and then it was the same thing. He's done this with Wilder. I think the only reason he had to go ahead with Wilder because Wilder took him, sorry, to court, and Wilder threatened to sue him. So he was going to lose a lot of money. He had to go ahead with the Wilder third fight because otherwise he would have ended up in court and he would have maybe even got stripped of the belt. But I don't know the exact uh, legal issues with walls to go down, but Wilder was in his right to activate that rematch clause. Anyway, he's got a track record. He's pulled out numerous fights. That's why a lot of people are skeptical. If it was someone like Terence Crawford or Artur Beterbiev or, I don't know, even Alexander Usyk himself, I don't think many people would be saying anything because it's Fury, because he's been so inconsistent. He's very consistent to being inconsistent, and he's really got a very shady track record. The guy's pulled out so many fights. He's failed drug tests. He's contradicted himself so many times. He's clearly bipolar. Got something something wrong with the guy, and he's obviously gonna be questioned in this instance. I personally think this fight I'll only believe it when they're both in the ring. I'll only believe this fight is official when they're actually in the ring. 'Cause I had a feeling Fury might pull out. I was thinking the other day before Friday that Fury actually might pull out. He pulls out on Friday, 2 weeks before the fight. So I find it hard to see how so many people defend this guy. I know less and less people are now defending him, but it seems like he's a victim of his own actions. He's brought this on himself. He's also lied a lot. He's also manipulated the fans. He fought Francis Ngannou and then was saying Usyk had to fight him in December, but then when when he got cut or wasn't ready, then he decided that Usyk fight can't happen in December. He wanted to move it to December. No, December. From December to February. Fine. Now he pulls out of the fight in February. You know, the guy is a shady character. He's obviously not someone you could trust. He's not reliable. He can't be trusted. I personally think Usyk deserves a shot at the undisputed title, and Fury's been holding this belt hostage. And I think they should let Usyk fight for the vacant belt if Fury pulls out again. Because if he pulls out in May, that'll be December to February to May. That's 3 times he'll have either delayed it or ducked this fight. And at that point, I think the WBC need to step in and do something because Usyk has pretty much fought all his fights on the road, won all his titles on the road. He's cleaned out the cruiserweight division. He's beat Anthony Joshua in the UK. Then he beat him in Saudi Arabia. There was no delaying, ducking, dodging. Usyk turned up, did his business, scored him twice, got the titles, defended them, and then made a mandatory defense. And he hasn't really done anything wrong. He's been quite consistent in the instance where Fury has been very inconsistent. He's not really ever defended his belts outside, I think, when he won the WBC title, outside those fights against Dylan White and Derek Chisora, there was like 2 title defenses. I think there was the Wilder fight. There was that, but I don't even know if I count that Derek Chisora fight because that was like a washed up Chisora. But yeah, he's made about 2 or 3 title defenses, and even that, it took him years and years to actually defend his title. So Fury is not a guy that can be ever trusted. I personally think, and he's only defended his title, I think, 2 or 3 times. He's got a shady track record. I personally think if the fight doesn't happen in May or he pulls out again, strip him, take the belt off him, whatever. Just do something needs to be done because he's holding up the division. Like I said, he's holding the belt hostage, and he's kind of he's kind of like doing this to offset, if not Usyk, he's kind of doing this to offset his opponent so he could get every advantage. And he's done this in the past and he's got away with it. I don't think he should be allowed to get away with it. If we take face value and see it is an actual genuine cut, then he's got till May. If he doesn't turn up on May 18, I personally won't believe this fight is done until May 19. So even when the fight starts, I don't know. Something might happen. Maybe even then, until the fight's over, until we know the actual result, then I'll believe this fight has actually taken place. Because this guy is something else. Like he is a crazy character. He's a guy that anything is possible with this guy. He could do anything. He seems like he's allowed to get away with a lot of stuff as well. So hopefully all I was gonna say is hopefully this fight it does take place in May. If it does, then that's good. May the best man win because I do think Fury still has a chance if the best Fury turns up. But if it doesn't, then let Usyk fight for the vacant belt or strip him and let someone else fight for that belt, and then let Usyk down the line try and fight for the undisputed title. But yeah, that's all I was gonna say. Dan, how's it going?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Nothing much. I was just talking about thing. What's going on? I think me personally, I'll give Fury and this whole fight until May. If it doesn't happen, I personally don't think this fight will ever happen. At the moment, I don't know if it ever will happen. I'm kind of in doubt because I think if he's not trying to delay this fight, he's either trying to duck this fight, and that's possible as well because the Saudis are saying if he does pull out, they already could line up him and AJ. So, what do you think? Do you think this is a delaying tactic, or is he trying to duck Usyk? Because he could be trying to duck him as well. Because we don't know until they actually in the ring that he actually will ever fight Usyk. Because this is almost now 2 years, at least over a year. Because he could have fought last April, and
Well,
even that last April was a long negotiation process from
yeah.
I think the previous August when Usyk had beaten Joshua. So I don't know. What do you think? I'm kind of in more of the delay, but I'm if it doesn't happen in May, I'm gonna go down. I think it's a clear duck at that point.
It, it could be a delay, and I know people are wondering, some of the fanatics out there, like, look, he proved that he got cut. What more do you want? You guys and your conspiracy theories, yada yada yada. I'm like, look. The problem, reason why many people are very skeptical, even boxers like Carl Froch, Michael Hunter, Sean Porter, they all are skeptical about that cut because Tyson Fury has a track record of doing things like this. Remember back in 2021 when he was supposed to fight Wilder, the third fight was originally scheduled for July 21st or whatever the date was, 2021. And there were rumors and ramblings that Tyson Fury was getting pieced up in camp. He wasn't properly preparing. He was going through a fat camp. And then next, the fight got postponed to October because they cited COVID. And it turns out that he didn't have COVID. So he lied about obviously that situation why they postponed that fight. So it is what it is. But anyhow, it is kind of weird. That's why he's skeptical. There's always there's just skepticism about this guy because of the fact he has a bad track record of pulling out of fights, pulling shenanigans, making opponents wait longer than they should to fight. It's like, he's been able to do this for a long, long time to maneuver in between fights. But it just seems like the walls are closing in on him and it's too much amount of pressure for him to fight Usyk and he doesn't like it. So maybe he's stalling for more time to get into fighting shape. But then again, if that cut is genuine, 3 months until May, that seems very odd. Because if the cut needs to heal, that's like what 5, 6 weeks, 7 weeks in. So you got to wait at least a whole month and a half, and then you got to spar again. That's not enough time to prepare for Usyk. It's just not. Even if that's the case, if he's sparring right now, it still won't be enough because the skill gap is between the two is too vast. And yeah, it could be a stalling tactic for the most part, but if he's trying to get out of the fight, I don't think that's going to happen because Turkey Alice Sheikh has made it clear that if you get out of this fight, you're going to have to pay a $10 million penalty out of your own pocket. So that that is kind of something they should have put a string they should have attached to the contract a long time ago. But knowing his track record, history theory, that is. But yeah, it could be a stall tactic for the most part. So yeah.
I don't think that 10 million thing, fine, whatever, will be too much of a hindrance because he's already Tiggy Al Sheikh responded by saying if he does, then he's gonna make. If Fury pulls out, he said if Usyk pulls out, he'll make Fury and AJ. But that also, if Fury pulls out, that means Fury and AJ will then end up happening some way or another. Maybe not on that
Right.
date, but you get what I'm saying because that that is then the fight he's already kind of hinted that he will try and make. If Usyk doesn't fight Fury, I understand because that is probably the next big fight to make. But the only problem I just have with this is this all mind games? Because to me, he's done this in the past. He done it with Klitschko, and he didn't ever honor
Mm.
that rematch. I know a lot of people give guys like AJ flack or criticism because he never fought Wilder, and some of it is valid, and rightly so. But when he did fight Klitschko, he did actually knock Klitschko out, and
Right.
he did agree to the rematch clause, and it wasn't him that walked away. It was Klitschko who retired. Rightly so. I
Yeah.
think it was the right decision. So in that instance, Joshua has been honorable, and he's actually pretty much fought all his mandatory challenges, to my knowledge.
Mhm.
He's fought Usyk twice as well. I know he lost, and he lost quite badly, I thought, in the first fight, but he's actually, turned up and been professional. With the other
Right.
two, especially Fury, I was very critical of Wilder, and someone was even saying Wilder may not have been doing, if he had the title, he may not have been pulling the same stunts Fury was doing. So I
No,
think
Wilder
maybe
wouldn't be
that's
doing
true.
this crap. I'm just being real. Wilder,
Yeah,
yeah, Wilder is a mediocre. Yeah, he had his resume is pretty mediocre. Yes, he has duck fights here and there, but he won't be going out this extreme and playing stunts like this.
yeah, yeah.
He
I
wouldn't. He
agree.
would not do that. And he'll one way or the other he'll turn up in some cases. But this guy right here is like the most the most deceitful, the most dishonest person. I mean, heavyweight fighter I've ever seen in my life. Really. And I can't imagine how anyone would put him in the Hall of Fame. Because you have to look at this. It's like this guy has a history of avoiding big fights over and over and over again, pushing fights back for unknown reason, finding, loopholes out of contracts and get out of fights or to stall them. This is just like unbelievable. He's costing networks so much money. No one's been able to make a profit off of him based off the shenanigans because they have to pay him so much money. He's literally just like conning people, to the bank. That's what it seems like to me. He's conning people, and that's why I like Turkey Out Shake is not having it. He's like, nah, you're not gonna con me like you've done people in the past. You're gonna take the fight. You're gonna take the fight one way or the other. So it's like this guy right here, and I'm glad he's getting a lot of pressure now. As far as mind games are concerned, maybe it's a last ditch effort to get into Usyk's head, but I think that's a sign of desperation. Because if that's what you got to do to try to get over him to win a fight, then that shows you're desperate. That shows you're not confident in your ability. That shows that you are very, very afraid to lose to this man. If you're gonna go this far to delay a fight, that's what it
Do
seems
do
like to me. That
you
shows a
do you
sign of
think
mental weakness right there. He's
do
mentally
you,
weak if he doesn't believe in his ability to win.
do you think though, if he beats Usyk, he's a Hall of Famer? I think if he beats Usyk, you could argue then he's maybe even all-time great in terms of on his at his best. He could maybe hang with any of the great fighters. I'm not saying his resume at that point would be on that par. Maybe in terms of accomplishments in the four belt era, but I think he needs the Usyk fight. If he doesn't beat Usyk, I think it hurts his resume and his what's it called career more. I think
Well, first of all, if
Usyk doesn't need
yeah,
this fight.
yeah, this doesn't really need this fight. And second of all, what legacy? There's nothing there other than Wilder and Klitschko. That's it.
Klitschko, yeah.
I mean, he hasn't fought all the other top 10 heavyweights throughout his career. He hasn't fought Zhang. He hasn't fought Anderson. He hasn't fought Miller at the time when he was rated in the top 10. He hasn't fought Ortiz, who was rated in the top 10 at the time. He hasn't fought Ruiz. He hasn't fought Parker, his buddy, which that obviously that would ever happen. He hasn't fought who's the other one? Michael Hunter, even though he fought him in the amateurs back in the day, but that doesn't matter. He hasn't fought him still. He hasn't fought Frank Sanchez. He hasn't fought. I'm going on and on and on here. He hasn't even, he hasn't fought Joshua. So I mean, he hasn't fought
And yeah, that's good.
Makhachev. He hasn't fought Kabayel. I mean, he hasn't fought. This guy just. I mean, how can we put him in the list as the all-time great? He hasn't even fought either, at least 80% of these heavyweights. He's
Yeah,
only
no,
fought maybe
I didn't
20%
mean
of them.
in terms of I didn't mean in terms of resume, but if you beat Usyk, I think you could say at that
Well, that's what I'm
point.
saying. All time great. All time great. Not just. It's not based off like the big name wins or Hall of Fame wins. It's based off your depth of resume, who you fought, how many times you beaten champions, how long you been a champion, and when did you beat them. That's what I mean by all time great. He's not on that list. He's on the par of Riddick Bowe, if not worse. At least Riddick Bowe had a better resume, but still, no. Riddick Bowe in his time did what Fury did. He found ways to get out of fights. He found ways to stall certain fights. He was doing the same thing he was doing after he beat Evander Holyfield, the first fight, that is. Same thing. And then until he ran into the wrong person. Yes, he won those fights based off disqualification, but that damaged his career and that kind of damaged his reputation. Not just the fact that he ducked Lennox Lewis, but it further damaged his career and his reputation after the Andrew Golota fights. So
Yeah.
Riddick
Oh,
Bowe,
oh,
it took a long, long time after that for him to gain, some bit of respect from the fans over the years. But he looked as a martyr after that Lennox Lewis situation. He himself didn't fight all the top heavyweights. He avoided all of them. So it's like Fury is doing this, if not worse. Same thing like Riddick Bowe did. He is the Riddick Bowe of this era. That's what he is. Okay. He doesn't like to be put in situations where he's forced to do it like Riddick Bowe did back in the day. Riddick Bowe didn't like to be put in fights he didn't like want to take. He literally just avoided it and just found ways to get out of it. Like he did with Ray Mercer. He found loopholes to try to get out of that fight, which he was able to do. So it's like, come on, dude. Seriously, how can anyone take you seriously and say you're one of the best heavyweights of this era? Yeah, you fought 80% of the top
right.
heavyweights.
He has to, at the minimum, he has to be too sick. I think, and even that, I think he'd have to do it in at least in decisive fashion. But if he beats
Mhm.
Usyk, I think you could say then he is probably the arguably the main or the best fighter of this era in his era. But in terms of resume, yeah, I still find it hard to compare his resume to guys like Lennox,
Or,
Ali.
or even
Obviously,
Anthony Joshua. Or even Anthony Joshua. Let's
if
be
he beats
honest.
Usyk, I think he's got a better resume than Anthony Joshua. Then, if he loses, obviously, I think then you. But if he beats Usyk, because the thing with AJ, AJ still didn't fight Wilder, and we still don't know what would have happened if he beats
Right.
Usyk. I know his resume he doesn't have those wins over guys like Povetkin, Parker. Those were solid wins for Joshua, and I said this a couple of years ago, and I stick by that. But I still think him beating Wilder twice, fighting him three times, and if he beats Usyk and Klitschko, and those versions of Usyk and Klitschko, I think would be better than a lot of Joshua's resume. But if he loses to Usyk after what happened in the Nagano fight, yeah, I agree. And then I think AJ's resume will just get better, especially if AJ beats
Right.
Nagano because then they'll both have lost to Usyk, but he'll have knocked out Wallin, Vladimir Klitschko, and Nagano. And Fury, it didn't look that great against Wallin, even though I thought he won that fight.
Mhm.
He also struggled against Nagano. He got dropped. A lot of people thought he lost that. I still think he needs to rematch Nagano down the line and fight him. I thought he may have
Yeah.
won that, nicked that fight, or won it. Was it 5 rounds, 6 rounds to four, whatever the hell it was? But
Mhm.
that was far from conclusive or one sided.
Yeah.
And it depends what happens with Nagano and Joshua. If Nagano gets blown out in a couple of rounds, I don't think that will happen. But if he does or gets beaten up, then maybe the appetite won't be there. But he's got a rematch close to Usyk. He needs to at least win these fights to be considered and a great fighter. I personally think a win is enough to get into the Hall of Fame because I think wins over Klitschko and Usyk and those wins over Wilder, I think are more than enough to get into the
Yeah.
Hall of Fame. But all-time great, I think you need to do a bit more. You'll have
You
to
got to do a
definitely
lot
beat.
more than just Usyk. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, you
You got
have
to
to
do a
beat
lot
Usyk.
more.
If he beats
Yeah.
Usyk twice and then he beats Joshua, then maybe you could put him up there with guys like Klitschko, some of the other guys maybe behind Mike Tyson and a couple of the fighters that people maybe don't consider as great as the other great fighters. But yeah, you got to do more. Even the Wilder wins started to look like they,
They're not
not as
aging
great
well.
as. Yeah, they're not
Yeah, they're
aging
not
well.
aging. They're not aging well. And that's a problem. His wins on his like Ottawa Lean and Wilder, they're not aging well. So I mean, at the end of the day, he's gonna have to prove himself. I know people say, "What do you mean? He's undefeated. What do you mean he has to prove himself?" Yeah, he's got to prove himself because he's got to fight someone who actually can beat him, and that's Alexander Usyk. And he's trying to find ways to get out of this fight or stall it. That's what he's trying to do. And it seems like the organizers are not having it with him. So he's under more pressure to get through May from the looks of it. And he ain't. It looks like he ain't left Saudi Arabia, so they're not letting him go anywhere until he till he stays in completes his training and then gets to the fight. That's what it seems like to me. So
what about the WBC? Do you think they need to do something because
no, they're
he
not going
has?
to strip him. They're not going to
But
strip
he,
him. I mean, 'cause
yeah, I
why
don't
would
think they
they?
will. But
You know,
I
why
don't
would
think
they?
they
I mean,
will.
because they kept Jamal Charlo champion for 3 years without defending his belt. They just recently stripped Jamel. I don't know why, but I guess because of the fact, okay, we got to make some changes here because none of these champions are fighting, so we're losing money. So we got to pick one of these guys out of the pecking order is not making as much money and just strip that person. So that's probably what they did to Jamel.
Yeah, I agree they won't. But he has not defended that title since December 2022, to my
Yeah,
knowledge, and he's really not fought a top or a mandatory challenger since, or a top rated contender since April 20, what was it, 2022. So that's like almost 2 years. I personally think that something needs to be done because you're
hmm
kind of holding that belt hostage. If he goes ahead with the Usyk fight, then fine. That is a unification on paper, and he'll have defended that belt, win, lose, or draw.
yeah,
But if he keeps pulling out of these fights, I think he's kind of holding that belt hostage and preventing other challengers or guys ranked by the WBC who deserve a title shot. Maybe there
yeah,
should be an interim champion because Joyce and Zhang, when they fought, that was for the WBO interim title, and
yeah,
I don't even know why they did that because Usyk was inactive. Maybe not as active as some of the other champions, but he was definitely more active than Fury. Fury didn't even
yeah.
defend his belt last year. The fight with Nagano was a non-title fight.
Yeah, you know what's the thing about that too is like I think you raised a point when we were talking earlier, is that perhaps the reason why they scheduled it for May, which is a little bit too soon after the cut occurred, in theory, is because they probably went to Usyk and Usyk probably told them, is like told the Saudis, is like, look, here's what's gonna happen. If he's gonna make me wait for 6, 7 more months, that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna fight someone else. And the Saudis like, no, we can't have that. We can't have you fight someone else. So that's why they probably scheduled it for May because they probably say, you know what, Luke, here's the problem. If Usyk's threatened to walk, it because we don't schedule this fight as soon as possible. So we're gonna schedule it for May.
Yeah,
It could be
that
possible
could be
because
possible. Yeah.
yeah, because they were like, dude, if he walks and he fights someone else, then our chances of that undisputed championship is going to go up this low because Usyk is going to get turned over by one of these guys, and they don't want to risk it.
Do you think Higovic would have a better chance
I
than
think Herkovich
Fury?
would have a better shot. Yeah, he have a better shot than Fury, in my opinion. He has a better shot because look, he's in his prime. He hasn't been damaged. You know, he's hungry. He's ready. So he's been waiting for his title shot for a long time. So yeah, that's a man who's very determined. Fury, on the other hand, doesn't look like he's determined. He's been hurt. He's been put down. He's been battling injuries. He's losing his legs. He hasn't been looking great. He's been, taking a lot, like I said, taking a lot of punishment. He's slowed down dramatically over the years, has to take care of himself. So yeah, it's a perfect time for Usyk to fight Fury. Perfect time. So with that said, yeah, Hercules has a way better shot at beating Usyk the Fury. Way better shot.
What about if Fury wins this fight? Do you think he'll keep those belts? I got a
No,
feeling if I got
no,
a feeling Fury will vacate or at
he's
least
gonna make all of them except for the WBC. He's
yeah
gonna vacate
I
all
got
of those.
yeah that's what I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
yep. I don't see him
What
keeping those belts.
about if Usyk wins? I think Usyk might have one more fight because Usyk at cruiserweight did manage to defend those titles against what's it called, Tony Bellew. He didn't need
Yeah,
to do it, but he did it, and then against Fury, if he wins it, he's already talking about Hergovic. I think Fury will. I think Usyk will fight Hergovic, or if it's Zhang or whoever
yeah.
is available, because Zhang is gonna fight Parker. I think there's more appetite for the Hergovic fight because that's a big fight. I think a
Yeah,
bigger
here's the
fight in
thing.
Europe.
If Usyk beats Fury, which I think he will, and beats him in the rematch and then faces other two mandatories and beats them, that is the all time that's the greatest fighter of this era, if he does that. Because he's the man who went there, took Joshua's title in the backyard, beat him twice, went on to beat Dubois, his mandatory. went on to beat Fury twice, went on to beat Herkovich, went on to beat Zhang or Parker, one of the two. And that's a very good way to end your career if he is
Yeah,
able to do that.
especially
Great
if
way to end it.
it's Higovic and Zank. That'd
Yeah,
be like two fight because Higovic is unbeaten technically on paper. I know. I need to watch that fight. I haven't seen it because I know a lot of people are saying Zhang may have got robbed, but Zhang got one defeat, which was controversial to Higovic. But
yeah,
if he beats both of those two after beating Joshua decisively twice, and say if he does beat Fury, if not decisively twice, at least once, and then he beats him cleanly the other time, that'll be yeah, that's an all-time great. I think he's already an all-time great
well, he's already all
cruiserweight.
time great there, but as far as heavyweight, I think
Oh
that's a
yeah,
feather
yeah.
in the cap right
Yeah,
there. I really
heavyweight.
do.
He needs a couple more fights. If he beats Fury, that'll be a very good win and is enough, I think, to solidify himself as the top, was it the main or the best heavyweight of this era, and he could retire. But I agree with you. If he beats a couple more very good fighters who are up and coming, or top 10 heavyweights like Kukovic, Zhang, that is very good because Wilder lost to Parker. If Parker does go on to beat Zhang, then I think Parker will have what's it called redeemed himself to
Yeah, he
get that crack.
rejuvenated his career. Yeah,
And
he's
yeah,
rejuvenated.
that'd be a good fight then for maybe Usyk because Parker is a well established name. He's literally fought everyone. He's got wins
Yeah.
also over Ruiz and Wilder, and if he beats
Well, you know what's
Zhang,
funny about that? His Tyson Fury's buddy Parker has a better resume than him.
I don't know. Do you
That's
think
what.
though he's also lost to a lot of? What do you define by a better resume? Because a lot of
Well, it's
people,
just that he has good signature wins. Wilder, Ruiz, Takam at the time was a good signature win
I don't know.
and
Like,
stuff like
I wouldn't say that though. He also lost to Parker. Wilder had already been knocked out twice by Fury. I personally wouldn't agree with that because he's also lost to Dylan White, and Fury beat Dylan White quite decisively. And then he lost
right.
to AJ as well. He's lost to Joyce. The thing with Parker is he's fought pretty much all of them. That's the thing, but he's also lost to a lot of them. That's why I wouldn't probably say Parker. I
Well,
could
yeah, I
understand.
see what you're. I see what you're saying there, but the problem is Fury hasn't fought none most of those heavyweights that you named that Parker's fought.
But
That's another thing too.
He did fight Wilder three times. He beat him twice.
Yeah, but he hasn't fought Joyce. He hasn't fought
Fought.
Ruiz. He hasn't fought Joshua. So yeah, you can't. My point is, you can't
No,
give Fury credit for guys he didn't fight. Yeah,
he
you
fought
can't give him
White.
credit for guys. Yeah, he
No, I
fought White. I'll
agree.
give him that. Yeah,
He
I give
fought
him
White
that. But
and Chisora. Chisora he beat. Parker arguably lost to Chisora. A lot of people.
well, the
I
first
don't
fight,
know.
yeah, but the second fight he clearly
Oh yeah,
dominated him. So yeah,
but that Chisora was even more washed out. I don't even know why Fury fought that third fight with Fury and Chisora was even more pointless. 'Cause after that Parker fight, I thought he was completely washed up. But yeah, I was gonna say I probably would not go that far, man. I think because with up until the Wilder fight, Parker's resume himself, I don't think was that great. He fought all these guys, but apart from the Ruiz fight, he had not really beaten any of them. There's maybe the
yeah,
Chisora fight and the Ruiz. With Joshua, I think you could make an argument. It's now becoming very debatable because if Fury beats Usyk, I think then Fury's got the better resume. But if Usyk beats him, then I think it goes completely in Joshua's favor. Because the only thing that was kind of the difference was the Wilder fights. But Wilder's already now lost to Parker, and Wilder himself has not really fought many top guys outside was it Fury and Ortiz. But I think a lot in this Usyk Fury fight, a lot is to lose is for Fury. If Fury wins this fight, I think a lot of people would say they expected him to win because of the size, and he needs this win more. But if Fury loses it, it really does affect his career, his resume. A lot of his wins and whole career will come into question because outside Klitschko, at that point, I don't know. It's hard to say how his resume is really a great resume. I don't know. Would he even get into the Hall of Fame based on one win over Klitschko and a couple of wins over Wilder. I don't know. At that point, I find it hard to then make a case because you've literally cherry picked a lot of the guys, and then you fought Usyk, who's your if not second, your first, maybe your best opponent, and if you lose to him, and especially if it's decisively, it's hard to say if you are really a Hall of Famer. Maybe based on accomplishments, you could say he's maybe done enough to get in because there are a lot of fighters who've got in that weren't really that accomplished, but it's hard to say how a guy with wins like over Dilla White, maybe Chisora, and one of his other best wins is maybe Francis Ngannou or Otto Wallin. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's really an Hall of Fame resume. I agree with you. He needs to do more. Hopefully, the Usyk fight happens, and good luck to him. If he's gonna go ahead with the fight and he doesn't pull out this time, and there's nothing going on, then hopefully the best man wins, and we find out definitively who is actually the best fighter of this era. But I don't know. I got a feeling his mind games, or either he doesn't want this fight. Uh, do you think then? Do you think then this fight, if it does happen, do you think there will be a rematch? Because I heard there may not have been a rematch at first, and now I'm reading there will be a rematch. Do you think? Do you think it'll depend on what happens in the first fight for there to be a rematch? Hello. Yeah, I think Dan's on mute. I don't know if he stepped away, but
Okay, can
I
you hear me now? Can
yeah,
you
I
hear
could
me
hear you
now?
now. Yeah, I could hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the rematch clause on paper is in place, but it's on contingent on who how Fury looks. If he gets dominated by Usyk or Usyk gets dominated by Fury, then in that case, what's the point of having a rematch? You know what I mean? Nobody wants to really see it. There's no intrigue in it, no interest in that rematch because it wasn't a close, controversial decision. You name it. You know what I'm where I'm getting at. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how this plays out. I hope he makes it to May, and there's no more shenanigans coming from him. So let's just hope he, gets on with it, and hope the cut heal. I mean, regardless of the healed or not, he's got to go into the fight. And what's sad about that, Usyk's going to target that eye because he's a left hand, and it's on the right side or the left side, where the cut is placed. And I find that weird that is on the left side when he posted that Instagram live feed. Then in the picture is on the right feed. Was it a reverse camera shot?
Yeah,
I
maybe.
don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah, it's kind of weird because you could barely see it in that the interview with Turkey Alex Shea. Barely see it. So I don't know, man. It's just like these shenanigans, man, from Fury, man. He's not trusted. Nobody believes him. Not even boxers believe him. So it's kind of weird. And like I said, I guess what he did not account on is that he's losing more support after he announced that he's pulling out. I think that's why they scrambled to get a rescheduled date like in 24 hours. They were real quick to get that done because of the backlash he's getting, and he's feeling
yeah,
very
yeah.
much
That's what I was gonna say.
yeah,
To me, it seems like that that date and they pulled it out was to save backlash or face criticism. I don't know
yeah.
if I believe that date is valid though. I got a feeling it may even get delayed even more, or if not delayed, maybe they push it back, or maybe he pulls out again. Because I don't know if I trust it. Because when Igis Klima said he's a coward, it seems like that riled him up.
Yeah,
And
that pissed him off. That really pissed him off. It's like they really getting in Fury's head. They're really making him angry. And Usyk is just sitting there like not saying anything. He's like, I don't care. And he just smiled at him. He's like, yeah, okay, you're injured. That's fine. Keep it going. And Cleveland is doing all the talking, and Barry's really getting upset right now. So they really got to him mentally. They really got to him. So yeah, he doesn't seem like he's going to be fully put together going into this fight. He's not.
Do you think though? Do you think if he goes ahead and wins this fight, do you think this would be a better win than the win over Klitschko? Better win, or would you still say the Klitschko win would be better? Say if he
Um,
wins, say if he goes and wins 9, 10 rounds against Usyk. I don't know if that will happen. I'm not saying that will happen. Maybe
but if
that's
he does, I would say that win over Usyk is much better because Usyk has better quality opposition on his resume than Klitschko does. And I know Klitschko's had over 60 fights, but you have to look at those quality opponents that he fought. Yeah, there were some good guys, good opponents, but come on, I mean, those guys, the depth, I mean, there's depth, I should say, but the quality of his opponents are not on the caliber that Usyk has fought and beat. Nowhere near that close. I mean, yeah, you had Chris Bird on there. I'll give him that. I'll give him Jagayev. Okay, fine. I'll give him who's the other one?
David
Lemon Bruce.
Hay,
Okay,
Povetkin.
David Hay, Pavek and
Povetkin.
David Hay. Pavek, and that was a disgusting fight to watch, but okay, I'll give him credit there. But Usyk's got let me see, he's got
I don't know. I
Kowalski,
think Klitschko.
Bradis,
No, oh, you're
he's
talking
got
about.
Hunter.
I thought you're talking about just the heavyweight resume because I thought
Not just heavyweight, just
if you
talking
just
about
compare
the name quality. I'm talking about quality rest, the quality of work that
all
he
right, no,
has. I
I
mean,
thought you were just comparing the heavyweight run because a heavyweight all Usyk score is really Joshua and
Joshua,
Chisora. And Chisora I
yeah,
did because I heard Klitschko duck Chisora, and that was Steve Bunt's first CNA, and
oh
then
yeah,
I
that did
remember
happen. Yeah,
Klitschko
and
pulled out
Klitschko was,
twice.
yeah,
Michael
he pulled
Stewart
out
said
twice
it.
out of that fight. And here's the thing about that situation: he cited an abdominal injury, and then 2 days later, he was spot playing golf somewhere.
Yeah,
And yeah,
Klitschko did do stuff like that a couple of times
yeah,
because he pulled out of the
yeah,
first Fury fight, but he rescheduled in November. Yeah, he was saying what it was a back injury. Was that what he was citing?
yeah, some type of back injury, but yeah, he was doing shenanigans like this too. And I
Yeah,
think Fury took this from his playbook. He was doing crap like this too for a while. When Shazor messed him about for for a whole year or so and pulled out twice. And then the rumor was, in the story that came out behind that situation, is that Manny Stewart, who was Klitschko's trainer at
yeah.
the time, did not want him to take that Shazor fight. He felt that was way too dangerous for him. He didn't think he had the style to beat Shazor. So that's why they pulled out. And to me, I thought that was a bit scandalous. It's like, well, why waste a man's time? You ain't had no intention of fighting him. Why waste his time? You know, it's
Well, thing according to Manuel Stewart was he was saying that Chisora was all wrong for him. So what
right.
they
That's what I'm
did was
saying.
yeah, I don't agree. That's not the right thing to do. But he was saying then they wanted Vitaly Klitschko to fight Chisora, and then Vladimir ended up fighting David Day. So I thought Klitschko had some very good wins in terms of heavyweight. I do think he had a lot more fights and wins than what's it called Usyk did,
Usyk.
but
Oh,
I can't
absolutely.
really you can't blame Usyk because he was a natural cruiserweight, and in 20 fights he's pretty much cleaned out his own division, and then got up to heavyweight and went up to the if not the main man, the second main guy, and got all the titles off him. So.
Yeah.
Joshua would, if Klitschko had beaten Joshua, that would have been one of his best wins. So for Usyk to do that was very impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. If he can do that, I mean, yeah, man, all power to him, man. But yeah, let's just hope we can get the May fight, man. But the way things looking like, I mean, what Carl Froch and George Groves are saying, Eros is saying, they're not totally convinced that this fight's going to go ahead. They think that Fury's going to find a way to pull out. They think he's going to find another way to do it. And then it's a shame that people have skepticism about him making that date. It's like there's a lot of skepticism, and I tend to agree. Nobody believes this guy. And I mean, how much
You
more
can't
can you
trust the
do?
guy. That's the
You,
problem.
you can't trust.
He's not trustworthy or reliable. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. He's not a reliable, trustworthy guy. He's cost a lot of networks and promoters and managers a lot of money. They haven't made no profit off of him. So it's like he's robbing these guys from the bank.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, a lot of people do criticize Wilder. I understand that because of the opposition, and Wilder never unified or fought guys like Klitschko. But
Yeah,
this is a bit different. What Fury is doing is really making a mockery of being a heavyweight champion. Like you're holding the belt hostage, and then you're delaying fights. You're not really active. Wilder, I was very critical of him, but he was actually fighting and defending his belt. Maybe not against the greatest opposition, but at least he was fighting guys like Dominic Brazil, Luis Ortiz. Getting in the ring and actually defending that belt and staying
yeah,
maybe not the most active, but at least active as possible. Fighting twice, at
yeah,
least twice a year, to my knowledge, and just getting in the ring. Fury's not doing that. That's the problem.
yeah. He's not doing that, and that's why people are frustrated and angry with him. It's like, how much more damage can you do to your reputation? I mean, seriously, man. It's like, how do you go from a hero, from dethroning Deontay Wilder, coming back from all those trial and tribulations that you had, even though I felt most of that was concocted now. Besides the point, how do you come from back from being a hero to now being a guy who's being an embarrassment right now to the UK boxing scene? A huge disgrace and embarrassment. A liar, con artist, deceitful. I mean, in every name in the book. You want to call him a coward? In one sense, I call him a coward, in not a sense of a fighter, but of a guy who doesn't live up to his bets, a guy who never donated his charity that he said he was going to do, his Wilder Perks to charity. He never did that. So that's what I call a coward. You didn't even live up to your promise. So you cowered out of that. If I was eating Cleans, I would have said that. You're a coward in the sense of not living up to your bets, not living up to your promise of giving charity, to donate your purse money to charity. You didn't even do that. That's why you're a coward in that
Yeah.
situation.
Do you think this is all from the playbook of Mayweather? Because a lot of these things he's trying to pull, a lot of it seems like it stems from Mayweather. Not exactly inside the ring, because I'm not gonna obviously compare his resume or career to Mayweather. Like that's a Hall of Fame, one of all time great fighters. Even though I think Mayweather at times did handpick and cherry pick opponents, and I don't think that he really fought. He never took the risks against guys. Even though Fury, I don't like what he's done when he went to Klitschko and Wilder's back garden. Guys who were, if not their prime, at the top of their game. Mayweather, I don't think, very rarely did that. He done it a couple of times, but what I'm getting at, apart from that, in between Fury has not really fought many top guys where Mayweather did consistently. Whether or not they were past their prime, he did. But the playbook of delaying fights, avoiding the top guys, making a lot of excuses, it seems like is all to protect the unbeaten record. And if not other fighters did this in the past, I think Mayweather took it to another level, and Fury seems like is doing exactly the same thing or trying to
Yeah.
mimic the same thing.
He's trying to, but it ain't working. That's the problem at this point. Like I said, you're dealing with the Saudi government. You're not just dealing with a promoter or organizer. You're dealing with the government. You're messing with their money. Yes, they can afford to give it away, but they're not going to allow you to ruin their name and their reputation based off your shenanigans. That's what they care about most is their reputation, and you're not going to compromise that. That's what he's dealing with right now. That's why he's feeling so much pressure than he normally feels because he's like, man, you're forcing me into a fight that I really don't want.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think Fury wanted this fight as much as Usyk, and
Yeah,
I don't think Fury wanted this fight now. I think the Dubois fight kind of made him
swayed
realize that
him into
maybe,
like,
yeah, is maybe winnable. Maybe is he if he could get everything right, he could win this. But it was a number of factors. But at the same time, I think the main thing was the Saudis putting the money up, because he was asking for 500 million at one point, and then he was asking for astronomical percentages, like 70-30 in the unification, and then asking
no
for, I think,
rematch
no,
clause.
yeah, those were like crazy demands. I just think. May maybe too soon, but if it happens in May, then good. But I don't know. I got my doubts. If there's anyone else, maybe I wouldn't have been this skeptical because
Yeah,
they don't have a track record. But you're not allowed to spar for at least 2 months. It looks like maybe three, and then
yeah,
how you gonna fight in May? That's why I don't buy the. I don't buy that May date. To me, seems very sketchy. If the Saudis believe he could maybe fight in May, then that's on them. Maybe he may have swayed him into it, but I'll really believe it when they're in the ring. That's why I got my doubts. Like I know he people would say he fought Wilder 3 times, but he knew he knew Wilder was very flawed, and he figured Wilder
yeah,
out in that 12th round. I think
yeah,
for him to delete those other fights, the rematch in the third fight, allow us to do to get into shape or to be 100%, because he knew after the first fight, after 11 rounds, he pretty much was outboxing Wilder. I think even if you thought that was a close fight or it was a draw, if some people agreed that with that decision, you could clearly see who the better boxer was out the two because he removed the knockdowns. Fury pretty much was outboxing him, and was it seemed like on a different level. With Usyk, I don't think is the same case, and that's what I think is the worry. With Usyk, he's fighting someone who's not only faster than him, who's all round technically better boxer, who's got better footwork. The only thing I think Usyk maybe lack is the power. That's the only thing I think Fury might have advantage of. So that's why I got my doubts. I don't know if he's gonna pull out again, but to me, this is the maximum he's delayed it. He's gone. It's from gone from now December till May. I thought they may delay it till the summer, so I was a bit surprised. That's why I don't know about May 18. I don't know what you think, but I think May 18 is a bit. I'm a bit doubtful of that day. Are you still there? I think your volume.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I could hear you.
All right, my bad. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I'm sorry, I was distracted. Edge on in our private chat here. He's saying some things. Dan, stop with the conspiracy stuff. I like, get out of here,
Is
bro.
he on here?
Conspiracy.
Send him the link if he wants to jump on. I would
Yeah.
like to. Can you send him the
Well,
link?
he,
Send him the link.
I, I'll send him a link if he wants to get on. But yeah,
Yeah, give it a try.
yeah, give it a try. Yeah, he said, Dan, stop with the conspiracy stuff. I'm like, please, bro. Jason Fury is the reason why I'm having these conspiracies. And why I think we're
What
all
is he
thinking.
trying to say? What's the conspiracy?
He said, man, it's genuine. Don't worry. I think he's saying to the lines, man, they going to, it's all planned. I'm like, what do you mean it's all planned? So when you by saying it's all planned, don't you think it's a conspiracy of yourself?
I don't know about that. He's gone from December to now May. For a guy who
Yeah,
said for a guy who said Usyk has to fight in December, I think we need to start holding some of these things Fury says. I don't know. I think the sooner this is out the way, the better. Like it's kind of
yeah,
left a bad taste. I personally was not that upset. I know a lot of boxing fans were very upset and disappointed. I kind of saw it coming because when the fight got announced and it moved from December to February, I already knew we can't put anything past Fury. Even if
yeah,
it's the week of the fight, he could pull out. He could do anything. The guy is obviously not a trustworthy or reliable person, and on
yeah.
top of that, he's already pulled these stunts in the past. So 2 weeks out, I was a bit surprised he got this close before him to pull out. But like I said, I was even willing to see until it got to the week of the fight. I wouldn't rule anything out because the guy is not really someone you could trust. You
Yeah.
know, even if he tells you what the weather is, I'd probably double check.
Yeah, if he
Just
said the sky is blue, I wouldn't believe him. Basically, well, if he told me the
he's
sky was green, if he said the sky was green and it's gonna turn green in the future, I wouldn't believe him. I'm like, nah, bruh.
yeah, he's not someone you don't know what the guy. He says one thing, he'll do another thing. But I think the AJ fans do want Fury to win because I think they see Fury as a more winnable fight.
That's what,
Maybe he is, but I think if Usyk wins, I think AJ I think AJ is probably looking at fighting someone like Ugovic. I don't
Well,
think
let's be
AJ.
honest. Eddie Hearn is desperate to have Fury win that fight. Desperate to have him win. They do not want Usyk to win that fight because there's no way in hell they're going to take that third fight with Usyk again because it's just a wrong style matchup for Joshua. Wrong style matchup. They know if they fight him again, they're not going to win it. So they rather have
Usyk
Fury
got
because
nothing to prove as well, though. On top, I
yeah, he
agree.
got
I
nothing to
don't.
prove
Yeah.
by AJ the third time. That's why I'm flabbergasted by some of these AJ fans thinking that Joshua could beat Usyk the third time around just because Ben Davis said so, just because of that Ottawa League performance. It's like you guys are crazy.
I don't
Seriously.
know. Otto Wallin is no Usyk. Like
He's no
Otto
Usyk,
Wallin was
okay?
in very bad shape. I thought that.
Yeah,
I'm surprised no one else apart from you and myself that mentioned that because Wallin looked like he carrying a gut in that fight and his game plan was very bad. Usyk is on a completely different strategy as to uh, Wallin. I think if Usyk wins, there's maybe one or two more fights left in him. But
yeah,
if people want, I don't know what's wrong with this. There's something wrong with the laptop. I was going to say, but if Usyk wins, he will probably keep hold of the belts. If not, he will at least fight once. I think against Djokovic
yeah.
or retire with Fury. I think Fury's going to throw those belts away. Maybe keep one or two, and then that'd be enough for him to fight someone like Joshua or maybe even Nagano in a rematch. But the thing was, he said in that face-off that he's not interested in fighting Joshua. I don't know. It's hard to take what you say seriously because
Yeah.
he's contradicted himself so many times.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. It's like, oh man, it's like a broken record all over again with this guy. When's he gonna show up? Is he gonna show up? Is he training really hard? Is he not training hard? What is he doing? It's like you gotta hold his hand like a baby or something, or you gotta like put a camera on him. And I find very weird too about that. Speaking of a camera, I heard Turkey Ali Sheik is spying on the guy. If he's genuine about what he said, he's even got cameras on him. It's like, dude, we're gonna watch every move you make going from now going up to May.
Did he say that directly to Fury, or was that in
No,
that
he said
interview
it
with?
in an interview with Ariel Wani. He's like, look, we
All right, I
got
never
cam-
the full
yeah,
interview.
he said, look, we
That's a
got
bit odd.
cameras in the yeah, he said we got cameras in the training camp for Tyson Fury. I'm like, really? Then why do you have cameras for Usyk? I find that kind of weird. I'm like, if you got cameras in the Tyson Fury camp, that goes to show that you don't trust this guy.
Yeah,
You
that's
don't trust
bizarre.
him.
Cameras for. Well, the only thing I would say is Fury was training in Saudi Arabia. Usyk was not. He's not.
He was a
He's not
fan.
in.
He's
Yeah, he's
yeah,
in a
he's not even
different
in
country,
Saudi Arabia. Yeah,
so
he's
they
in
can't
Spain,
really
by the way.
track. Yeah, they can't really
Yeah.
track. Uh, they can't. I don't think they could go to Spain and do something like that.
Well,
Which
that
is
not just that. I mean, Usyk doesn't have a track record pulling out of fights like this. He always shows
yeah.
up.
And
He,
no, I was saying, is that the reason, or is it the reason because he's located in Saudi Arabia? Because I can't remember. I think Steve Bunce was saying something before the Day of Reckoning, that show, when they entered, because they were media, they had at all times they had some security guard looking over them. I don't. That's
uh,
what I'm trying to figure out. Maybe there's something, a Saudi protocol or something, because they part of the event. Maybe they want
yeah,
you to look after Fury, but I don't know. But cameras is a bit, yeah, that is a big stream because you don't really
yeah.
need to be looking out for the guy like 24/7. But I thought you meant in that aspect. Maybe is to just look after him, or hope like nothing happens to him, or he's in,
Maybe it could be that too. Maybe sure nothing happens to the guy, but I think it's
hmm,
more to make sure he ain't pulling no shenanigans to get out of fights. Like Blade himself, just to come up with an injury argument to get out of the fight. You
yeah.
know?
Well, if they did, then they should have. If he has, some people are saying or suggesting he cut himself. If he ha-
Yeah,
if they did, if they are looking, that extensively on him 24/7, then maybe if he did do anything like that, I personally don't think he cut himself, but I think it's one of those instances where maybe it could have been prevented, or maybe it was something that he saw coming and he didn't really try to avoid. If you get what I'm saying, so it would
right.
just help him to delay the fight. because I think he used this camp as a fat camp to get into shape, but now he's in shape. I think
Yeah.
if he doesn't delay or duck the fight in May, what he'll do is just use the rest of the camp to get into fighting shape. The only thing is, if your eye is that, if it's a genuine cut and your eye is that bad, how are you gonna spar? That's where I'm not. I'm kind of confused with the whole
Yeah.
May date. Like, how are you
Yeah,
meant
I'm.
to actually prepare? You definitely can't spar guys like Upataya again. Well, I don't even
I,
think he's. I don't. I don't
I don't
even
think
think
they're
that
gonna.
would ever happen.
I don't think they're gonna want him to come back after what he did to Fury. They
Yeah,
ain't gonna
yeah.
want Avatar back.
He definitely gave him a black eye or something.
Yeah, he
I'm
cut
sure
him
I
up
seen a
and Arthur
picture.
beats him up too. Yeah, he beats him up pretty badly. And the thing is too, if you don't have Avatar in your camp, that's like your best guy you got to model Usyk to some extent, the closer you can get. I mean, who where you gonna get? Moses Atoma? Yeah, Moses Atoma is quick. He's got fast hands, but he doesn't move like Usyk. He's not a, he doesn't move like him. I mean, what, Dempsey McCain? I mean, who else is there? I mean, you're not gonna
What
really get
about Marius
anyone that,
Bradis? I no, I don't think Bradis and Usyk fight anyway the same. They obviously. Do you think Bradis would be a good sparring partner? The only thing is he is
he
the
is
orthodox
smaller.
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
what
he's got
he is
shorter
orthodox,
arms.
though, isn't he? Is he
Yeah,
orthodox?
he's an orthodox fighter. He's not southpaw, and he
Yeah,
doesn't move
yeah,
like
that's
Usyk.
the problem then. Yeah,
That's the problem. You can't get Braves in there. That's just a waste of time. I mean, that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. If you're gonna kick out Apataya, then you're not gonna bring him back. Then how? Who else are you gonna get to prepare for him? That's why this is gonna be a big problem for Tyson Fury going into this fight. Very big problem. So
Maybe they could get another southpaw. I don't think there's anyone else.
there's no one
But
else. Yeah,
If with Fury, I don't think you could find anyone else. Even Opataya, that
yeah.
was just a very rare to find someone in the same instant. With Usyk, I do think you could find some big guys, but can Usyk find someone who's similar to Fury, or he doesn't need to? Because Usyk's sparring
I
partners with
he
guys like Marius Wack and
well he
Zika.
found a guy who's a 6'9", who's the same height as Fury, like 6'8", 6'7" and a
He
half.
wasn't really that good, though. I don't think.
He's
Yeah,
not that good, but he is a southpaw. So, well, he's bringing in Marius Walker because he's an orthodox. Because remember, Tyson Fury is an orthodox fighter for the most part, and he also
yeah,
fights in southpaw position from time to time. So he's bringing in these big guys in two different fighting positions, so that way he could get prepared for both. But I I think I told you this, but the most interesting comment that he made in the face-off with Tyson Fury and what Usyk said, I've been preparing for him since he beat Klitschko. That's
yeah.
going back to 9 years now. And Theory got a little nervous when he heard that comment. He's like, "What?" He's like, "Dude, I've been ready for him since he beat Klitschko. I've been ready for him for 9 years. I know how to beat this guy."
Yeah, he was rewatching the that fight. What's it called? When he was training on the bike.
Yeah,
So I think Usyk's been keeping. I was surprised because Usyk turned pro not too. I think not too
2 years
shortly
after that.
after. Was
Yeah,
it
2 years
after
after
2
that.
years? All right, after that. I think.
Yeah, he was
All
pro for
right,
two
so
years after that. Yeah.
yeah, that's quite surprising.
Yeah, it's
Mm,
surprising. He's been watching this guy for years. He's been watching Joshua for years. He's been watching Wilder for years. He's been prepared for these guys for a very long time, and they didn't know it, and that's why Fury's probably nervous. Like, God damn, this guy's been spinal. He's been eyeing all ball me for all these years.
yeah,
And the thing is too is that this kind of reminds me of Holyfield when he was moving when he fought at cruiserweight, then he moved up to heavyweight eventually. He been eyeing ball Mike Tyson for years. Years he been wanting that fight. He been preparing for him. He's been having sessions where, obviously when he was preparing for fights, he wasn't preparing for a style of Mike Tyson, other than Dwight Muhammad Ali for some extent. But he's been having sessions where he's been studying Mike Tyson for years, years before he moved up to heavyweight. And he even wanted that fight for years because he knows he's like, look, this is the guy I want. I've been studying him. I've been knowing what he can do. I've been preparing for him for years.
yeah.
So
So is it is obviously very interesting that I think Usyk's obviously done more of his homework. That's why I think Usyk wants to fight more with Fury. I think he's been trying to, if not delay, he's been trying to duck the fight.
He's
That's
been
what a lot
trying
of
to duck the fight. Yeah, it's just like, look, I think Fury knows that he's going to be in a very, very much more difficult fight than he's ever been in his life. More than Wilder, more than Klitschko, more than any other fight the other day Cunningham. So he's going to be in a much more difficult fight. A fight that I think he doesn't know how to prepare for, to tell you the truth. He hasn't had time to study his opponent. And the fact that his opponent has been studying him for years and he just doesn't even, he didn't know that. I think that's why he walked about with that comment. He was a little nervous when he heard that comment from Lucy, and he's like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah. Do you think though, if you beat Usyk, then because he's still a favorite, do you still do you think the Klitschko fight would be a better win? Because against Klitschko, he was a massive underdog. I,
um,
I think it's debatable because on one
it's
aspect,
debatable. Yeah, yeah, it's debatable, but we'll see how that can out. But go ahead.
no, because I was gonna say against Klitschko, he was a massive underdog. Weren't
Yeah,
too many people who picked him, so he went to Germany and he beat. If he beats Usyk, he will have pretty much every advantage. I know he was bigger than Klitschko as well, but he
right,
wasn't that much bigger. Like in terms of with size with Usyk, in terms of what is it, height, weight to height, reach. A lot of things he's got in his favor. He's also a natural heavyweight. I was gonna say on paper, I think you couldn't make an argument the Klitschko fight maybe still would be a better win. The only thing is it depends how you look at it because Usyk is unbeaten as well, and he's more or less in his prime, and he's unbeaten. He hasn't really come close to losing. So to me, it depends how you look at it. With Klitschko, I think is the fact that he beat Klitschko in Germany and he dethroned such a long reigning champion. Klitschko at that point was beginning to become like the heavyweight version of Mayweather, where he was so defensively sound technically and unbeaten for such a long time that it seemed like no one could come close to beating him. Although he had been
right.
beaten, it was just the fact that someone dethroned him, and then it was Fury who not many people picked. Where I think against Usyk, this is arguably still a 50-50 fight in a lot of people's
Yeah,
opinion. I know the Nagano fight has changed or swayed people's opinion, but on paper, I still think is more or less an even odds fight.
yeah. I mean, more or less. But here's the way I see it, and don't be surprised if this fight turns out to be another Terrence Crawford Earl Spence situation. Don't be surprised. And the reason why I say
It's
that,
possible, yeah.
yeah, it's possible because I can see this fight get dominated by Usyk from the start to the finish, where he can
Yeah.
possibly stop here. And don't be surprised if that happens. So that's the
I
way I
think
see
Fury's best
it.
way to win it would be he has to rough him up or he has to do
Apply a lot, reply a
what he did to
relentless
Wallin,
pressure.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, but
fight
the
him.
problem is, can he? Yeah, the problem is, can he sustain that? Because Usyk will make you work hard for that. Really work hard because you're going to have to hit him, and it's very difficult to hit this guy. You'd be wasting all your energy trying to hit this guy, and you're loading up on your shots. And while you loading up all your shots, you're wasting your energy. You're depleted. You're tired, and you're going to get beaten up and picked apart. And that's what Usyk does best. He makes you zap your own energy. He makes you use your own strengths against you. That's what he does. And that's what I'm saying. If Fury can sustain that for all 12 rounds, all power to him. But based off his current conditioning, I don't see him he can do that now. I don't think he can.
Yeah, no, you could be right, and
Hmm.
obviously, it's easier said than done. To fight like that
Yeah.
is gonna be, you know, something that no one else has done. For Fury to do that, he'll have to uh, carry out a game plan that I think he did manage to do against Wallin in the second half, but he's against a superior opponent and a much better,
Hmm.
faster, all round, technically better opponent. So it's going to be interesting to see how it is. I thought Dubois did do better than a lot of people. I thought Dubois would be maybe as competitive as he was. I didn't expect him to come close. If people believe that was a legal show, I didn't expect to do that. I had a funny feeling maybe able to hurt Usyk at one point, but I didn't expect it to turn out like that, exactly like that. But I did think Dubois landed a lot more. I don't know if that was to do with Usyk being inactive for over a year, and he's not really been that active, and there's been a war going on in Ukraine. But I think Usyk will have to be a bit better in that fight because obviously it'll depend on how what Fury turns up. But if his Fury at his best and Usyk is fighting like that, where he's kind of crouching down and feeling every body shot, I don't know if that version of Usyk would actually beat him. Different fights because if Usyk does fight Fury and Fury wants to go to the body, he will have to obviously take risks and commit more. But I
Yeah, the
just
problem
don't
is, you know,
I
I
don't
mean,
think
how
that
far he's
the
got to,
bar.
yeah, how far he's gonna have to reach down. That's the thing. That's a problem because if he more he would try to go to that body, the more he leaves himself open to those counter shots,
Yeah, yeah,
and
I
that's
agree with that.
that's that's going to be a problem. And the thing about Tyson Fury, his Achilles heel is that he cannot see left hands. So he can never see that punch coming for some reason. And I've been saying that for years. It's like, why hasn't Tyson Fury fought so many southpaws after all these years? Why hasn't he done it? In fact, if you look at that training session, that little sparring clip that they put out, you saw how easily he got caught with a left hand in the clinch. How did he
Yeah,
not see that
he
coming?
did not look. He did not look
Yeah,
good.
yeah, he just cannot see. That's the thing. The man cannot figure out how to get away from a left hand. He cannot likely figure that out. It's like it's like
Do
wow.
you think? Do you think? I
Mhm.
agree with that. Style wise, Usyk could make him look really bad, and
Yeah.
that is going to be a problem. But do you think that Usyk will have to be better? Because I don't think that Dubois performance was great. I know some people would
No,
say
I mean
he
he
did win
dominated the
majority of
fight.
the rounds, but I do
Well, he
think
dominated
Dubois
the
won
fight. Yeah, yeah, he
a
dominated the fight
couple
before
of
the
rounds.
stop. Yeah, after the stop. Well, he clearly won the rounds. I gave Dubois only one round out of that fight before the
I gave
stoppage. Only
Dubois two
one.
rounds, but
Hmm.
I thought Dubois was having a very good. Was it eighth or ninth round? Then he quit and got dropped, I think, twice. But I thought Dubois was landing a lot of somewhere low. I thought he was landing a lot of good shots. I think it was because Dubois came in quite light, and his game plan was to go to the
Mhm.
body and mix it up. And he landed some good jabs as well. But I thought Dubois did not fight that bad of a fight up until I think it was the knockdowns, where with Joshua, he did not really have much success to the body. I
Right.
think Joshua probably won more rounds. And then overall, at the end of the fight, Joshua didn't get stopped. But to me, it seemed like Dubois found him easier to. I don't know how to put this, but it seemed like Dubois had more success to the body and found it easier to offset Usyk than AJ did, especially in the first fight. Outside those
Yeah, I
two rounds,
mean, I think because Dubois was seemed I don't know. Maybe because he seemed a little bit more eager. He seemed a guy who was willing to take the risk a little bit more in that fight. But then he got tired. He got zapped. His energy got
yeah,
depleted when he was trying to get rid of. He was loading up early against Usyk, and not just loading up. It's just like Usyk. What he does best is that he forces you to reset every single time because he's constantly moving up and down. Laterally in that ring. It just saps your energy because you're constantly thinking. It's like, okay, this guy's moving this way, he's moving that way out of nowhere. What do I do next? It's like he's constantly making you think. And that was Zap's shoot. And like I said, Dubois was able to take more risk early on, but that's why, he eventually he faded out because he just
yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
figure out
he gassed out, didn't
he gassed out,
he?
he just couldn't figure it out. And that's what same thing's gonna happen to Fury. Fury won't be able to figure it out. He won't be able to
I
do it.
think I don't think Fury would quit, but
No,
I
I won't say he
understand.
quit, but he just
Yeah,
won't be
no,
able
I'm
to
saying
figure it
that.
out.
I was just saying.
Yeah.
No, I mean just Dubois. I think Dubois ended up quitting. He mentally just capitulated, and Dubois has done that
Yeah.
in the past. I don't blame him too much for the Joyce fight, but against Usyk, it seemed like he mentally just it wasn't in him. But
Yeah.
I mean, it could happen to Fury. And the look he had on his face in the third Wilder fight when he got dropped for the second time seemed like
Yes.
he thought that maybe this is the writing's on the wall and this may be the end. But
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. He could definitely mentally fatigue, and that could also happen to Fury. But I don't think he'd quit. I think that was the difference. Dubois, I think, quit. The Miller fight did maybe help him or help his confidence in the future, or
Yeah.
just in that fight. But that was one thing I think happened to Dubois. I think he just quit mentally. What happened to him in the Kevin Lorena fight, and then this fight, there were signs that he could give up, and he almost got knocked out against Lorena. I know he got injured as well in the process. He got knocked down the
Yeah.
first time, but then mentally he seemed like he was all over the place as well. So
Yeah.
I don't think Fury would it would it'd go down like that, but it's possible if Usyk overwhelms him. Usyk could definitely, um, get the better of him because I think Wallin did hurt him in the 12th round, but
Yeah, he
I still
did.
got my doubts. I don't know if this fight will actually happen. Like I think the Bivol Batubia fight is more likely to happen on that date. I don't know about this
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah, I have my reservations like you. Hey, but hey, man, listen, I gotta get
Yeah,
going, man.
I was gonna go. What did oh before I go, I was gonna see what did Edge note say? Did you get anything?
Nah, I didn't get a response. It looks like he's sleeping or something. I don't know, but
All right, all right.
uh,
Uh,
I,
I'm gonna wrap it up, man. But I was gonna say, yeah, good talking to you. I'll catch you soon, and hopefully this fight happens because I think this is still probably one of the biggest fights in boxing. And if it happens in me, that'll be good because then we could get Bivol Batubiev and we'll get Fury Usyk. But thanks
yeah.
for jumping on.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right.